If you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code ATNIGHT to get 5% off your order. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus Ignite, your weekly Vanguard podcast. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
How many fucking things do we have to do on this set review for DZ-BT01 Faded Clash? Is that
There's a million high rarity cards this
normally we stop at the double R's, and that's the case here too, but there's so many of them. So now that Lyrical Monasterio is in the main sets and is not its own thing, that's probably why.
Yeah.
So
you have to include more of each rarity.
Okay. Well, the good thing is now I'm not the mooch who's only doing one of the nations. I now have two. So now I have taken over Ketter's Sanctuary.
It's finally even.
Huzzah. All right. Kick us off then, Root Beer.
Okay, so first off, we have the Faded one of Unparalleled, Vargo Dragres. So it is a grade 3, has Persona Ride, 13k, as usual. We'll let you know if it stops being usual. Auto, Vanguard once per turn. When it attacks a Vanguard, Counterblast 1, retire your and your opponent's front row rear guards. This unit gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn. At the end of the battle, stand it gets drive -2. And then it has the Divine skill, which, if you remember, is only once per fight. At the end of the battle, attack a grade 3 or greater. If your opponent has 4 or more damage, and it attacked 2 or more times this turn, you can Counterblast 1, stand it, and it gets drive +2.
Okay. So I remember this from a couple weeks ago when we were initially, like, this was teased. Mm-hmm. This seems fine. It's good.
Dragonic Overlord. Again.
But it's not.
Oh, I didn't hit. Let's just try one more time, shall we?
Yeah. But I get my twin drive back, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this card's fine. It's one of the interesting thing about like the new like Faded ones is that because the Divine skill is once per fight, like it almost feels like you have half a card.
Kinda, yeah.
Like you get that because it's like you're not, especially this Divine skill where it only works if your opponent's at 4 or more. Like a lot of the time, you're just gonna be like retiring the front rows and then standing it with no drives. So it's like a 4th attack and like a front row wipe, which is still very good. But then it has this like entire other thing where it restands again, and it feels like you only have half of the card, even though like, to be honest, they just kind of packed like everything they could into the first ability.
Yeah, and like the blowing up your front row every turn, that means you would have to then replace your front row every turn. Yeah. Unless, obviously... I mean,
so does your opponent, right?
Yeah, mm-hmm. But as the opponent, that's expected versus, your own stuff. Aside from rear guards that are like, okay, after this attacks, put in soul, draw one, whatever. Like, however they replace
just
them.
Kill them on the Divine skill turn, easy.
Yeah. Also, this does not work with Dragveda, the Dragon Empire OT. But it can work if you were to like check it on the second restand.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. But like most of the time what's probably going to happen is you're gonna stand it off of Dragveda, and then it'll just like use its own ability and lose the drives anyway.
Mm-hmm. So seems like you'd want to run the blue or the red OT.
Probably blue OT, just like more crits.
Yeah.
Like,
why not?
I mean, you're still 100 million power, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus fucking Dragonic. All right. We gotta keep this at a brisk pace.
Yeah, let's go.
There's so many cards. Drag Rider Shura. So on attack, Energy Blast 2, it gets 5k. Choose one of your other rear guards with a different name from this. So you can't even choose a different copy of itself. When it's retired from rear guard circle, put it into hand.
There you go.
And then when this unit's retired from rear guard circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Vargo in its name, and your opponent's grade 3 or greater, you counterblast 1, call it, it gets 10k.
It's a lot of counterblasting going on here.
Yes, there is.
one for the main guy, one for this, if you want to call it back.
Mhm.
And
We'll
then
see.
one for the divine skill on that turn.
Yeah, just keeping track of how much counterblasting is going on.
But that's a pretty good support card for.
But the energy
Yeah.
blast seems good anyway. Like,
Yeah.
as like
Yeah.
baseline.
It also, I don't know if we want to like cover the ride line for Vargo right now, but
Do you really want to add another however many minutes that is?
It's just adding 12 cards to the review.
yeah, but like the grade 2 for Varga has an ability that like retire after it, or you can have it gain 5k, and then after it attacks, again, you retire it and draw a card, which also works with this. So
That's
it'll
true.
like retire itself, go back to your hand, and then you draw a card.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Okay, yeah, good. They're off to a good start then.
Yeah.
All right.
And then lastly, we have Drag Rider Farhat. Farhat.
His hat is far, a faraway hat.
It doesn't even have a hat.
Yeah. Because it's so far away.
Oh.
Okay,
He's fighting
so
to get back, yeah.
this is the new generic cycle for this particular set. So it's very similar to the set 10 ones, where when it's placed on guard circle or discarded from hand while riding from the ride deck, you can counterblast 1 or energy blast 3 to draw a card.
Sure.
Okay.
And then when it's placed on rear guard circle, if you persona road, you can counterblast 1 or energy blast 3. Choose a grave 1 without sentinel from drop zone, call it to a back row rear guard circle.
Wait a minute.
Not bad.
Oh, I gotta read Shiro one more time. So imagine this. Imagine you call a sentinel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you push up the front row and then play Shiro and target the sentinel, then blow up the sentinel and return to your hand.
Yeah.
Well, this is a
Unfortunate.
grade 1 without sentinel.
Oh, sorry, without my bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, why won't it let you call a sentinel?
I think because they have the exact same idea that you do, Matt. They don't want.
But it
you
would be
doing
funny. It's probably
Yes,
not even
it would.
good though. But it's probably not even good.
that. Yeah.
I feel like you just let it rock.
Just let them have it. Like it's not.
Yeah,
that big
just
of a
fuck
deal.
it. Why not? Just
Yeah, why not?
yeah, fuck it.
What a shame.
You're losing a whole column by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Anyways, this card is fine. It is a little different from the other generic Dragon Empire cards, which all retire something in one capacity or another.
Why
This
did
one
it
just
call
calls something back.
It's weird that it calls something in Dragon Empire.
Yeah. This feels
Why
like a
not
Keter
something
Sanctuary card, right?
Or a Stoicheia card.
Yeah, or a Stoicheia one.
I'm not complaining. By the way, this seems perfectly good. So
Yeah. This card
Yeah.
seems fine. You will probably play it just because, like, one of the interesting things that has come out of this set is, if you see from the cards we've already looked at, Varga as a strategy doesn't really use Soul, which means between the cycle card from set 10 and this, you have 2 different ways early on to just like keep replenishing your hand to make up for the discard for your ride line. So like you just have like a built-in draw, or every deck that doesn't really need like soul or energy just has a really easy draw engine now. Especially with like the 50 card with the main deck updates. You have space for like both now.
Right.
all right, cool. Let's see. On to Dark States. Hey Matt, since you have Dark States and Brandgate, which means you usually have to do them 2 in a row. I'll trade you
Nope.
Cater
We're just
Sanctuary.
going. No,
No,
we're
Dark
just
go.
Nope. Okay.
No, we're just fucking going.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Direful Dollmaster Android. So act on ban, counterblast 1, choose up to the same number of workeroids with direful doll and their card names from your soul as your opponent's Vanguard's grade, and call them to rear. If you call 3 or more cards, it gets drive +1.
Okay.
And then when this unit is attacked, choose up to 1 workeroid with direful doll in its card name in your bind zone, call it to guard circle, and get shield +5,000 on the battle.
Anything Pale Moon Est, I'm a fan of. I'm not a good. I'm not a unbiased answer. So
In my testing with this deck, the main problem it has right now is just like consistency. So like the way its resource loop works is kind of awkward because like you have one direful doll that puts things from. So I think the way it's supposed to go is like they get into your soul via the ride line, and then you call them out, and then they all bind themselves. So then you guard with them, and then you use the doll effects to put them back in your soul. The problem is right now the main one that does it when it boosts.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you either have to like be really aggressive early so that you and like call this card out and recycle cards that you maybe discarded for your ride line or something like that. And if you like didn't draw the grade 1 that puts things into soul when you boost, there's a distinct possibility that you just can't call enough to get the extra drive.
Yeah, there's a Pale Moon has always kind of had that problem where like, great, I can call things out of soul, but you have to get them in there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, this
it's
also
just
needs like something very specific. It doesn't need like random cards in soul. It needs like specifically these direful dolls.
Yeah, no, like call it grade 2 from soul to rear. It's got to be Workoroid.
And he can't even call himself.
No, it can't. So like
Yeah,
the
'cause he's not
persona
a
ride thing doesn't fit in. That sucks.
Also, what kind of name is Androld?
My brain just auto corrected that to Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
Mine corrected it to Android. Like,
So I can't help but notice that neither of the other two triple R's has direful doll in the name.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
So the next one is Steam Gunner Tiz Cotter. So it had the first skill is just the generic skill. I'm not going to read that one again.
Yeah.
But it's unique abilities that when it's placed in rear, if you persona with this turn, you can counterblast 1 or energy blast 3. You may soul charge 1 until end of your turn. This unit gets boosted power plus 5,000. Okay,
Fine, whatever.
it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one seems okay.
It is a card that exists.
Yeah.
So the next card we have is Desire Devil Alarcray. Remember this thing? So when
Kind
it's
of.
placed on rear during your main phase, you can energy blast 3, choose a Desire Devil, and that's different from this unit from your soul, and call it to rear. Okay.
So
And
it's
then
not
on-
even not a different in its card name and different from this unit. So can you have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
second copy of this and
Yeah, it
call
needs
it?
a different Desire Devil of some kind.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Some different Desire Devil, not itself. And then on front row rear, if you have when you're grade 3 or greater Vanguard with green on its card name Hex, until the turn, this unit gets power plus 5,000. If your damage zone has 4 more cards, this unit gets power plus 5,000.
This seems
Green on it always seemed like one of those decks that like never looks good on paper, but like it's around. You see it places. It shows up from time to time. This seems okay. Like
yeah. Like it builds a board.
It does do that. It is maybe a 20k attacker, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean that's fine. Can you tell none of us play Greedon?
Is this just like it just reminds me of every other green on card?
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
about the same. Like
They're all
you play,
they all look like this.
you play Omino Gorgeo, which is like almost there, but not quite. Root beer.
Yeah. But like Omina Grugio's like has an interesting gimmick.
All these
Yeah.
cards are so boring.
And Matt plays Greedon, but it's only in premium, so who cares?
I suppose.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to Brandgate, we have Faded One of Guiding Star, Wellstra, Blitz Arms. So this has a divine skill, so get excited. So an auto, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can Energy Blast 2, choose a product in your order zone and operate it, and this unit gets power plus 10,000. And then the divine skill is Counterblast 1, choose up to 2 product cards with different names from your hand and put them in your order zone. If you put 2 cards, choose a product from your order zone and operate it. So this just does the thing immediately.
Yeah.
This was the first divine skill we ever got revealed, and we're like, oh, these are pretty good. And then the ones after this that we're going to see make this look like dog water. But I don't think it's that bad. I think it's pretty good, like solid.
This is definitely like a setup one, right? Like this
Yeah.
just sets you up immediately,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine.
Yeah.
And
Like
some of those
Wellstra is an
products are
interesting
scary.
one because like it's already an existing strategy, so it already has things that it wants to do.
Mhm.
Whereas like the other ones, you can kind of craft the divine skill around a new strategy.
Mhm.
Like this one has to fit into the mold of what the product deck was already doing.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I think the divine skill is hampered a little bit, and they kind of made up for it by just making a ridiculous product with the satellite cannon.
Yeah. And like that said, the energy blasting now being tied to operating the product on like the everyday on your normal turns,
Mm-hmm.
that can't be taken away from you. You can't run out of counterblast the way the other one could.
Yeah, you're doing this to just hit your opponent with a minus 10,000 power.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Or more like
and deal a
20.
damage to them probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that part's important too.
Yeah. It's all very funny.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
Yeah, this is one of the cards. All right, so the next card is Bullet of Creation, Pan's Murmia. So when this card is, it has the generic effect that the rest of them have. And then when it's placed on rear, if you're Persona Road, you can counterblast 1 Energy Blast 3. Search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 or greater unit with a different card name from your Vanguard, or up to 1 set order, reveal it, and put it in your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you revealed a card, choose a card from your hand and discard.
Interesting.
So a different grade 3.
Or a set order.
Or a set order.
Are there? I'm trying to think of like decks that have an important rearguard grade 3 because I know that this fits into something. But I can't
Obscure
think of what. I think so.
No, because like Obscure you want to put like card ability.
Yeah.
So then what? Like,
I think you just use it for the set order ability.
Probably. And even then, that's not really a plus. It's just kind of a search and a discard, which doesn't make it bad necessarily. But yeah, solid. I think this just gets better with time. Like as more decks get important grade 3 rear guards,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this next one, I fear this with every bone in my body.
Blitz Operator Tudu.
Or however you want to do it. Yeah.
I'm just reading the phonetic.
Okay.
So during your turn, if your order has a product, it's powerful plus 5,000. And then when it attacks the Vanguard, if you have Vanguard with Velstra, this card name with Divine Skill, counterblast 1, choose a product from your order zone and operate it.
I mean, he's already had cards like this. This is like every Welstra rear guard, basically.
Okay. Before, operating a product was counterblast 1 with Wellstrip. Now it's energy blasting, which means you can now put it on this. And that's what scares me about it.
I mean, then we just talked about it with Wellstrip. Wellstrip being an energy blast is super convenient,
Yeah. I mean, like, Wellstrip was already going to get you to, like, negative 20k.
Mm-hmm. Fine, whatever. Let me be the Chicken Little in peace then, if that's how it's gonna be.
All right.
All right, my turn. So the Fated One of Miracles, Raziel, grade 3 with the thing. Auto on Van, when it attacks a Vanguard, counterblast 1, choose up to 2 cards from your drop with different grades and a total grade less than or equal to the number of your cards in damage
I hate this
zone,
fucking skill.
And call them to rear. That is so wordy.
Why?
Yeah, and then the divine skill. Soul Blast 1, return all criticals in your drop into your deck and shuffle. And this gets drive +1. Until the end of this fight, you cannot ride units without Raziel in its card names, and you also get red text. When your damage check reveals a trigger unit other than a heal, if your damage zone has 5 or more cards, choose a card from your damage zone, heal it, and lose this ability. What do you hate about this? Just look how good it is, or
No, because the thing with this card is that it's just extremely sacky, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those where, like, yeah, obviously your opponent's going to check triggers if they shuffle a bunch of triggers back into their deck. and then you like occasionally will just steal a game with like the heal ability. So I just kind of hate this one on the principle of how sacky it is, where it's just like it's not gonna feel good when you lose to it, even though like that outcome was extremely obvious.
Right. I mean, like losing almost never feels good in general, but this I think it's even more annoying wherein like yeah, it's only a one-time thing, but it just gives them a fifth or sixth, I guess if we count the over trigger, heal trigger, sort of. And you also replenish your deck full of them too. So have fun with that, I guess. I know people freaked the hell out when this was revealed, and also were like, okay, Wellstra sucks now. But
I mean, that's the worst part. Is like I don't think the card itself is very good because you don't. The first ability doesn't give a lot of power, and like because you have to call things like equal to like cards in your damage zone. Like in order for that to be, and they have to have different grades too. So like in order for that to be effective, you have to actually take damage early.
Yeah,
which like leaves you susceptible to like being early rushed.
Yeah, so like you'd want to be at what 4 for that to be worth it. Get a
They have to be
1?
they have to be different grades 3. So grade 2 and a grade 1.
Yeah. So I mean, like have 4 damage, so you can do a 2 and a 1, or
no, you 3. They have to be cards with different grades, and the total like less than or equal. So 3, 2, and 1. Or like if you're at 5 damage, you can go 3 and 2.
Yeah. At least it's not like different columns or something.
Well, you can call them anywhere, so you can just call them to like separate columns and make 5 attacks. But
yeah,
again, it's coming back to like numbers bad.
All right, Divine Sister Biscotti. So same shtick with the ride deck stuff, but the other effect is when placed on rear, if you Persona Road this turn, Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3, look at top 3, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it on top, put the rest on bottom. If it is not the battle phase, you may call it instead of putting it on top of deck.
They really don't want you making an extra attack.
No, they don't.
Nope. Not allowed in the...
They're pretty well designed in that aspect, though, at least.
Yeah. But like also Carbra already sorry. Carbra already exists. So like that cat's already out of the bag.
Yeah, Carbra doesn't help you with ride deck or whatever. I don't know. I'm splitting hairs.
I don't even remember what the Keter cycle from set 10 does.
Oh, what's her face? The angel.
Oh right, Spiral Cutie Angel.
Yeah. Spiral Cutie Angel's great. Okay, Knight of Gentle Beauty Nobia, which sounds like a cell phone company. When grade 2, when placed on rear, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Resile, Counterblast 1, look at top 3, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less card from among them, call it to rear, put the rest on bottom. If it's the battle phase, reveal and put it into your hand instead of calling it. You're right. It's they don't want people plussing in battle phase for more attacks. And then also auto on rear, when this attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Resile in its card name, Soul Blast, and it gets plus 10k till end of battle.
So
there's your power.
Dragon Empire had a grade 2 triple R that goes with their grade 3.
Yeah.
Brandgate had one.
Yeah.
And Keter has one.
Yeah.
But not Dark States.
Nope.
Appears not. For
Just
some
checking.
reason or another.
Just checking. I was curious. Just keeping track.
Yeah. Good support card for Resile.
Seems good to me.
Yeah, seems fine.
It's huge. It does what you want. It can find more Raziels, probably.
True. More for Persona Ride. All right. Moving on to Stoichea. So, Sword Princess of Dreamblade, Lysaria Veleno, which they have brought back Mega Colony, I guess.
Karia, maybe. But yeah.
A lot of people got excited when they saw the art for this and then were somewhat disappointed. Let's find out why. Continuous on
Divine skill.
Continuous on Van during your turn. If you have 3 or more units with Veleno in their card names, all of your units with Veleno in their card names get plus 5k. Already off to kind of an awkward start. If you have 5 or more and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets an extra crit.
We've seen this before.
Yep. And then auto on Van. At the end of the battle that your unit was attacked and was not hit, if you played a Blitz order that battle, draw a card. And if you did not countercharge this turn, countercharge 1.
I mean, this card is fine. Like, it's just a swarm strategy that tries to like fill the board with names. Honestly, like the crit kind of doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I don't know. When this first got revealed, I was saying that like they should tweak it a little bit so it's just like a pain in the butt to like attack, but it doesn't really have much of a offensive force. So you just kind of whittle your opponent down over time. But they didn't do that. So what?
No, we already discussed this in another episode. Like it feels like a regular aggro deck that they tacked on a Blitz order skill to.
Yeah.
Rather than like a deck built around Blitz orders.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Sea Rumble Brave Shooter, same deal with that right deck thing, but when it's placed on rear, if you Persona Red this turn, Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3, choose a grade 2 or less normal unit with a different card name from this unit and without Sentinel in your drop. Matt, that seems to be a pattern. Or an order card from your drop and put it into hand and then discard something. Fine.
I really don't want people adding back PGs. Holy shit.
Yeah. I think they're maybe a little bit upsetty with Luard.
All right.
That's fair. And then another Magnolia piece of support, Silvenhorn Beast Bispotti.
I understand.
Banana.
How dare the grade 3s not have a divine skill?
When this is placed on, or grade 2, sorry, when this is placed on rear other than during the battle phase, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your Vanguards with Silvenhorn Beast in its card name, and for every 2 grades of that unit, choose a grade 3 or less card with a different card name from this unit in your drop and call it to rear. And then when this unit attacks on rear, choose one of your Vanguards with Silvenhorn Beast, and for every 2 grades of that unit, this unit gets plus 5k till end of that battle.
All right.
Quite good. This is essentially the forced growth dragon for the grade 4 version of Magnolia.
Yeah.
Forced
20k
growth
meter, cost 2 things.
Yeah. A little bit steeper of a cost, but you don't have to set up the dragon tree thing. You just do it. It's definitely making me a little on the fence of which version of the deck to play. But only way to know is to test, right? Either way, I'm a fan of this thing. Banana split. All right. Lyrical time. Go for it.
All right. Faded 1 of ever-changing Chris Rain. So, act, Counterblast 1, perform all of the following. If you have 4 or more units with different card names, perform 2. If you have 5 or more, perform all of them. Draw a card, energy charge 3. Choose one of your unit. It gets 15k. This unit gets a crit. And then the divine skill auto. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked grade 3 or greater unit. Return all rear guards to hand. Choose 1 unit card from your hand. Call it to rear guard circle. And until end of turn, increase or decrease that unit's power and critical to match this unit.
Whoa.
That's pretty nuts.
That's
holy crap.
That do seem pretty good.
Yes. So, again, like I said this with like Vargas, this just feels like another card where it's like half a card because of the divine skill being once per game.
But is it half a card at 28k and a crit?
Yeah.
If you like vaguely think about what you're putting on the table.
Yeah.
But it is I guess it is Counterblast 1, but still. You're
I don't know. I don't know. I guess it just feels like one of the other abilities could have been replaced by like at least part of the divine skill. Probably take away matching the critical, but like you could probably put everything except for that last part on top of one of the other skills, and the card would have been like fine. If you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, the crazier part is that you are never not putting your trigger power on this Vanguard. Rear guard, Vanguard, bounce, call the thing, match. Like,
well, that's the thing, right? Like, it's once per fight, so you have to like time it correctly.
True.
Which As for one of the downsides for this divine skill is that if they're attacking with the Vanguard last, it's pretty telegraphed what they're planning to do,
Right.
and you can like guard accordingly.
So it's like it's a skill that seems like it would be spammable, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
There's the balance then.
Well, you can also like just not do it if you don't get it, if you don't like get a trigger right. Like you like attack, and your opponent's like preparing. If you don't hit anything and don't think you can kill, you just be like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, you just not.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing with this card is I think like despite everything, like I think the goal of this deck is to be a grind deck, because like you're gonna have to run your opponent out of PGs like one way or another, either to get the divine skill to hit or just to get Chris Rain with the crit to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So like I think that's just the goal, is to just like run your opponent out of PG. So like it might be worth just using the divine skill to drain your opponent's hand.
Yeah, just spending a bunch of energy blast to draw more cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It makes me wish that Lyrical had removal options, because that's how I'm envisioning this deck right now. Like as I'm like theory crafting for, is like, man, I wish I had some removal options, because I think like a more tanky, like grindy game with this deck is probably what you're gonna go for, especially with the support cards that it has, which we'll get to eventually.
Right.
Maybe.
I don't know. This is one of the ones where like it's good. It doesn't scare me, but it seems good. And like you can build around this, I think, and have a decent time.
There are so many good generic Lyrical cards.
Mm-hmm. So Agent Orange, let's go.
Yeah. So Innocent Orange Anise. So this is the Chris Rain support because they decided to order it differently, which is very annoying. But when placed, if you have a grade 3 or greater with Chris Rain, you can Counterblast 1 and Energy Blast 3. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 unit card with a different name from what you already control, and call it to rearguard circle, shuffle. And then when it attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if you have 4 or more units with different card names, it gets power plus 10,000.
Fantastic.
So it's cool if you call this afterward. It gains a 10k after its power is already set. So
yeah,
pretty neat. One thing I'm always looking for, especially now with energy, is some way to countercharge, even if you're paying energy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a lot of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of things still counterblast.
Yeah,
that's true. But now it's like they just replaced all the soul blasting with energy blast.
Yeah, that is kind of what happened. And like honestly, I'm kind of feeling the like lack of countercharging.
Yeah.
Definitely a thing for Varga, especially because the countercharging you do have in Dragon Empire requires you to hit things.
Right. I'm always thinking of the guy with the 2 guns like this, where it's like, when Vanguard attacks, retire this, draw, and countercharge. It's like, great. But
you ever think it's really hard to have a grindy game or like a deck that can grind because like you're so limited on counterblast that you just have to eventually kill your opponent with what counterblast you have instead of being able to like refill those resources at any point?
Yeah, plus that OT is lurking out there in the distance waiting for the pendulum to swing.
It is true.
So
yeah, but OT is good on Chris Rain because then you can just copy 100 million power to the thing that's attacking.
That's true. And this thing, when you call off of it, you can just they're not doing the thing where it's like, if it's not the battle phase, blah blah blah, you can still call something else. So
that's true.
That's pretty fun. It's like obviously can't call more copies of herself because
they have to have different name.
Exactly, it's got to be a different name. So you gotta. But like you said, Lyrical has a lot of good generic support.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So this is the cycle card. Dazzle, Bubble, Paradise, Prescia. So first skill is the same as all the other ones, and then if you Persona Road, Counterblast, or Energy Blast, choose one of your units until end of turn. It gets 5k, and if you chose a rearguard, that unit can return that unit to hand from rearguard circle at the end of the turn. Sure.
Okay. They also reprinted all of the OTs,
yes,
including
the festival ones.
Yeah,
cool. So we can ignore all of those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So skipping over that, let's just jump into the double Rs.
Okay, so first we have Strafe Command Dragon, double R or Triumph Dragon, the TV card. So
I'm
when
not
it's
reading
placed
that
on,
card.
so it's a grade 3. All of the start deck support cards are grade 3s. When it's placed on Rigor Circle from hand, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Triumph Dragon in its name, Counter Blast, draw a card. On attack, Soul Blast 1 until end of battle. It gets 5k. If you Soul Blast at a grade 3 or greater with Triumph Dragon, it gets a crit.
I'm excited for this card to be a quarter.
Yeah. So just reminding people, all of the start deck cards have the same template ability that Search a Persona Ride. So this is
Yeah, I'm not
basically
reading Triumph Dragon. You can't make me.
Don't worry, I'm not going to make you. I'm just reminding the audience that they all have that Persona riding or the ability to search Persona rides. So these cards might as well read like have a if you Persona Road, like get a crit.
Great.
Next is Impale Horn Dragon. So this is Vargo support. During the Battle of Boosted, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vargo, it gets 5k. And then if it boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Vargo, it gets power plus 2000 until the end of that battle. And then at end of battle, you Soul Blast 1, retire it, and draw a card. I wish it said counter charge instead.
Oh, like you Soul Blast, retire it for a counter charge?
Yes.
Yeah, they do not give those CCs out willy-nilly.
Nope.
I mean, it might just be on purpose to handicap Vargo, since otherwise you'd be making like 5 attacks every turn while also like wiping the board.
Sure. But also, like, I don't know, just being in premium for so long, you get so used to countercharging coming, you know, at the drop of a hat. Cool.
Okay. Dancing Princess of Beautiful Flames, Orpha. So this is a grade 1. This is going to be the other piece of generic support that every nation gets that follows a template. So when it boosts the rear guard, if you Persona Road this turn, Counter Blast 1, choose one of your units, and it gets auto Vanguard rear guard circle. At the end of the battle of attacks, it gets critical -2 until end of turn, and then increase or decrease its critical to 2.
Okay. Interesting.
So it makes whatever it's boosting into a 2 crit unit, but then they lose both criticals at the end of it, so you can't any like multi-attack shenanigans.
I see.
I don't know. This just makes me think of like Heal Guardians and stuff, where it's like -2 crit, and then you use this to sort of counter it. But it seems very hyper specific and also wrong format. So
yeah. Also, like the way the timing would work, because like turn player has to resolve all their stuff first.
Right.
Right.
So it goes up to 2, then down to 0.
Yep.
And then bummer. Never mind then.
Yeah. Oh right. We also have the random Eugene support.
There's like I'm seeing a lot of bullet cards, which means that it's Eugene support, which means that
It's going to be a quarter, is what he's trying to say.
this will have
will
support cards that I could use with it. It's going to be garbage. It's going to be
Leaping
garbage.
Bullet of Duststorm Glynus. If your opponent's Rigor is retired during your main phase and you have a grade 3 or greater Eugene, stand it and it gets 5k. And then on Guard Circle, it gets 5k shield if you have a Eugene Vanguard.
Garbage.
So you're supposed to call this rested and then stand it because you're retired. Yeah, this is dumb. Okay, moving on. I can't believe you made me read. You made me look at this card.
Or rest it for Eugene's cost, and then it pops back up.
Right. Yeah, I don't care about
Yeah,
this
that's what
shit.
he said.
No.
This
All
is dumb.
We're now on to Dark States.
Yes. That
All
ain't
right,
me.
Steam Artist Tirigan. This is the grade 3 support for whatever the TD boss is. I'm not reading that card either. And this thing is put into rear guard from Soul. If you have a grade 3 or greater with Guest in its card name, you can Soul Blast 2 cards with different names from this card and draw a card. And then when it attacks, you can Soul Blast 1. It gets power plus 5,000 till the battle. And if you're Soul Blast a grade 3 or greater card with Guest in its card name, it gets 15,000 instead of 5,000.
There used to be grade 1s with 5k power, where on play you would Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. Those are better than this. Prove me wrong.
It has to be put from rearguard circle into soul.
Yeah. You know, this. Yep. Moving on. So the next card we have is one of the Direful Dolls for the leader that didn't have any other. We
Or
haven't read any
Android,
other
or
cards for.
Android, or Arnold, or whatever.
Providenza. So when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if you're a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Direful Doll in its card name, it gets power plus 10,000 on the battle. And at the end of battle that it attacked, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Direful Doll in its card name, you can Energy Blast 3 and bind to this unit and choose a Workoroid with Direful Doll in its different card name from your soul and call it to rear. Still not sure where all the Direful Dolls are coming from, but you know this is one that binds itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest question mark with this deck. It has plenty of ways to like bind things, and like leading up to the grade 3 turn, your ride deck does let you like soul charge some Direful Doll names.
Sure.
It's just kind of a matter of like consistency.
But you need 3 for the skill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after those are gone,
like you need a way to replenish them, but like you need to go through that cycle of like binding them, guarding with them, and then like cycling them from the drop zone into the soul, which happens when you boost.
this is a lot of effort.
Yeah. There's also a grade 3 that puts something into soul when you either call it to rear or guard with it, but like that's 1 card versus the 2 that the grade 1 gets when it boosts.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Dark States. You have many options for.
Yeah, but
putting
then
things
you
in
run
soul.
into the
Some of them
problem
kinda
of
random.
names.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So should be an interesting time deck building. The card by
you're definitely
itself
playing
seems
this
fun.
card because it has Direful Doll in the name. But
Yes,
I
it
realize
does.
Yes.
I think you're playing any card that has Direful Doll in the name, even a vanilla. So
Yes. But this card happens to be good.
that's true.
Yes.
The next card we have is Desire Devil Gorgeo. When this unit is put in from rear guard circle into soul, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with green on its card name, Energy Blast 3, and put this card into hand. And then continuous on guard circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with green on, and your damage zone is 4 or more cards, you get shield plus 5,000.
Sure.
Sure. Why not?
Whatever.
Okay.
It's nice that they're putting extra shield on everything now.
Yeah.
You can eat it and then put it in your hand, and you have a 10k shield. Sure.
Yeah. Only took them for frickin' ever to finally give the.
Not sure why this card's a double R, but here we are. So the last double R we have is Rainbow Blower, which is the generic card, right?
Yes.
This is the most
if you
unfortunately
Persona
named
this
card
turn,
in this set.
Persona this turn, you can counterblast 1 and soul charge 1, and then choose up to 1 card from your soul, call to rear, and it gets powerful. And this unit gets powerful 10.
Hey, not bad.
Yeah, not a bad card. Does
That's
cost
fine.
a counterblast, but it's fine.
Get a soul charge. It's I still have that Luthier deck sitting on a table somewhere. So that
That's
works
something.
out pretty well in there. Yeah.
All right. Rank A time. So the first card we have here is Swing by Dragon, which is one of the TD support cards. So when it's placed on rear from hand, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Astram in its card name, you can counterblast 1 draw card. Again, not reading this card, don't care. It has an auto in front row. Rear guard, once per turn. When your other units stand by a card's ability, you can Soul Blast 1. And this unit gets power plus 2,000 on the turn. And if you Soul Blasted a grade 3 or greater with Astram in its card name, you can stand this unit.
Sure.
Sure.
Like, it's a 5th attack.
Yep, it sure is. Yep. I assume that Astram can stand something, or at least I freaking hope so. Do not tell me. I just assume it will. If it can't, this card sucks. More than sometimes it just has to work out that way.
Yeah.
All right.
I know we're speeding by these really fast, but we're just trying to get through them all, man. There's so many.
Gravidia Medular. So this is a grade 1 for Gravidia. Continuous on rear guard or guard circle. If your drop zone has if your drop and order zone has a total of 3 or more meteorites, this gets power plus 2,000, shield plus 5,000. So probably all the time. Act On rear, you can Energy Blast 3, choose up to 3 meteorite cards with grade equal to or less than your Vanguard from your hand, and put them into your order zone. If you put 2 or more cards, you may draw a card. All right. Just accelerate some meteorites. Yeah, it's not bad. Have a couple meteorites, just shove them in play, easy.
Yeah.
All right. So next card we have here is Controller of Interstellar Dimming. This is a grade 1. Auto on rear. When this unit boosts a rear guard, if you Persona Road this turn, counter +1. Until end of the battle, your opponent cannot play Blitz orders, counter, from their hand. And if they would call cards from their hand to guard circle, they must call 2 or more cards at the same time.
I feel like the Blitz order thing was somebody like, this is going to be great. And then they're like, just throw a battle door on there, please.
And it has to rear guard for this effect, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it was the other way around, right? Like they designed it as a battle door and then they added the Blitz order thing so you can't just bypass the battle door.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not sure, chicken or the egg, but it definitely, I guess for a set where they're trying to push Blitz orders. I don't know.
This card being counter +1 is kind of stinky.
Yeah.
Imagine if this card were like, I don't know, Soul Blast 2 or something.
That would be better.
It feels a lot different to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I know?
Make this boost Obscue died. Profit.
Yeah, that's the first thing that popped into my head, too.
So, next card is Blitz Customer Service Kurde. So, continuous during the battle, this unit boosted. If you have a greater Vanguard with Well Strike, it's power +5,000. Sure, whatever. And when this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Well Strike, its card name, energy charge 1.
Okay.
Sure.
Why not?
Whatever.
I'm not sure why this is a double R, but sure.
Yeah, definitely.
One
this
of
feels
the
like a
cards.
common.
Could be. Could still be.
All right. So, Virile Core Dragon is a grade 3. When placed on rare from a hand, other than during the battle phase, they're very keen on that this set for whatever reason. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with a Cerve Seal in its card name,
Not reading that.
What?
We're not
Cerve
reading
Seal.
it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Counter last 1, top 5. Choose a grade 3 or less unit from among them. Call it to rear shuffle. Auto on rear. When it attacks, Soul Blast 1 gets +5k till end of that battle. If you Soul Blast a grade 3 or greater card with Serve Sail in its card name for this cost, counter charge 1 or energy charge 3.
Oh my god, it's counter charge.
Yeah, they did it.
For a Soul Blast. I mean,
And-
sure.
No, it's not just a Soul Blast. You have to specifically Soul Blast the grade 3.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, you got a Soul Blast for the 5k, and then if it's a 3, then you get the
I'm sure this card is great support for Spiel.
I think the funniest part of this episode is how we keep mispronouncing it, but in different ways each time. It's like it's even better than that time I was calling it Stoicheia for an episode, and then one of our fans yelled at us. All right. Yeah, Stoicheia. Aial Sage, grade 1. During the battle that's boosted, if you have a grade 3 or Vanguard with Raziel in its card name, gets +5k. And then if it boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Raziel, discard, countercharge, and it gets power +2.
Oh my god.
We found the countercharge on the deck that doesn't really need the countercharge.
And you have to discard for it. There was like
I mean, that's not that bad because Raziel calls from drop zone.
I guess so. But like, okay, so early in Overdress, they had a Brandgate grade 1 that's like discard a set order and countercharge, and everyone's like, no, not even.
No.
No matter how much
We
I'm
have
hurting for
Bulbul Mine.
Counterblast. Yeah, we have Bulbul Mine. Screw that thing. And it's like a weird like mascot costume looking monster. I can't remember the name though. Knight of Heavenly Rhythm per sale. Grade 1. Back row center at the end of the battle that this unit boosted if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater.
Oh. No,
What?
no, don't mind me. I'm just like reading the rest of the card.
Counterblast 1, put this unit into soul. Choose the same number of your rested rear guards as the number of rear guards placed by the ability of your Vanguard with Alden. Oh no. In its card name during the battle phase this turn. And stand them. If you stand 2 or more cards, you may draw a card. Sure.
They are desperately trying to give Alden as many attacks as possible.
I feel so bad for Alden. I thought it was a cool idea. God, Knight of Heavenly Rhythm, and it's 7/4. This is going to be awful.
Yeah.
Forcep Angel is a grade 1. Act on rear. If you Persona Road this turn, Counterblast 1, check top 3, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less unit card from among them, call it to rear, and put the rest on bottom of deck, and she gets plus 10k.
Cool.
Yeah. She's generic. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. Raiko will find a way to put this into a youth perk deck.
Yeah, or I don't know. I have a what's his name? Grand Grace.
The joke here is that like Raiko just randomly plays like angel cards all the time, even when they're not optimal.
That's true. What was I saying? And then moving on to Stoicheia. Veleno Kappa Regime Erephus. Grade 3, 13k. Auto on rear once per turn. At the end of the battle, your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Lysaria and this card name attacked. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, Counterblast 1, stand this unit, and if you have 3 or more units with Veleno in their card names, gets plus 5k till end of turn. All right, there's some of our support for the poor lass.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Like the deck has a 4th attack. It gets kind of big. Like I said, this is a regular aggro deck that they just tacked on the Blitz Order thing to.
Yeah. Cool art though. Conspiracizing Hunter Severin. So another grade 3 with 13k. When it's placed on rear from drop, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Christianus in its card name, you may have this unit get plus 10k till end of turn. If you do, retire this at the end of the turn. And then auto on rear, when it attacks, Soul Blast 1, choose your Vanguard, one of your Vanguards. It gets plus 5k till end of turn. If your Vanguard is standing and you Soul Blasted a grade 3 or greater Christianus in its card name for this cost, stand this unit at the end of the battle. Fine.
It's a target for you to use like Nectar of Sensationalism to give it a crit.
Yes. But fine, whatever. I don't know. This doesn't really appeal to me for the most part. I mean, I like that it's none of this is tied to Counterblast, which is cool.
Yeah.
So you can do your thing without
I
your
don't think
opponent.
Christiana's like counterblasted that much anyways.
Not really, but still, it's not something that your opponent can put the screws to you for. Silvenhorn Beast Ilkenwin. It's a grade 2, and I love the art on this like fox looking thing. Grade 2, when placed on rear, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia and its card name, so this works with anything, I think. Soul Blast 1, discard a card from your hand, search your deck, or drop for up to 1 card with Magnolia in its different card name from your Vanguard, or up to 1 grade 0 normal order, reveal, put into your hand, and if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. You can search Wild Intelligence with this. That's great.
Yeah. This just helps you find either the mask if you're running that or the grade 4.
Yeah. And then if you're not, you just find Wild Intelligence. That's very flexible. So not bad, guys. Not bad. I think this comes in handy more in the grade 4 version of the deck. But yeah, not a bad idea. And then lastly, Fragrant Bloom Dionysia. And I don't mean lastly for the set, I mean for Stoicheia. 8k grade 1, if you once per turn, act on rear. If you Persona at this turn, Counterblast 1, check top 3, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less unit from among them, call it to rear, and discard the rest, and she gets 10k until end of turn.
Yep.
Not bad, guys. Not bad. A lot of pretty solid double Rs in this set, I think.
Yeah.
And we're in the home stretch here. The man,
Okay.
take us home.
The love girl that resonates on hit, Respino. So when it's returned from rearguard circle of the hand, if you have Marlene, Counter Blast 1, draw a card. On attack, Soul Blast 1 gets 5k. If you Soul Blasted Marlene, it gets 15k instead. Like, sure, it draws cards. Like, none of the trial deck archetypes really counterblast that much, aside from their like grabbing a Persona Ride ability.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, this is fine.
Sure.
Carefree After School Forlet. So when it's placed on Radar Circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Kyrie, gets boost and power plus 5,000 until end of turn. Counterblast 1, or at the end of the turn, Counterblast 1, put it to soul. Draw a card, choose one of your Vanguards with Kyrie, and for every 2 grades, you can return a rear guard to your hand. This is fine. Like, I don't play Kyrie, so it's hard for me to evaluate this, but I imagine it helps you like set up some combos for the next turn.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see. Sharing happiness. I hate everything. Ferrarina. So this is the Persona Ride card. So when it boosts the rear guard, if you Persona Road, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, your Vanguard gets a continuous ability. All of your rear guard gets plus 5k until end of turn. And then at the end of that battle, you bottom deck it. I don't know why it bottom decks itself, but this is basically just Valbrashen again.
That seems like a rather steep cost for such a medium effect.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's all rear guard, so like all your columns get 10k, and if you multi-attack, it like carries over.
Okay, good point. But
And then Cynical Composer Realm. So this is the Chris Rain support. I hate that the order on the lyrical cards is different than all of the other nations. During the battle that it boosted, if you have a grade 3 or greater Chris Rain, it gets 5k. When it boosts a grade 3 or greater Chris Rain, if you have 4 or more units with different names, Energy Blast 3, until the end of your battle, if your opponent would call a card without Sentinel, they must call 3 or more cards with different grades at the same time.
wow. That's pretty extreme. That's a hell of a triple lord.
This card is very strange because of that condition without Sentinel. Like, it's a card that will like sometimes just not do anything because your opponent will PG your Vanguard and likely would have PG'd your Vanguard because it's like, so if this is boosting, it's like 28k, so it's like 41 with a crit. So like in the cases where your opponent has the Sentinel, they were probably just going to use it anyways.
Yeah.
So it's a card that like sometimes doesn't do anything, but then like the situation where they don't have the Sentinel, it forces them into this really awkward guard pattern, which reinforces my idea that I would want to play Chris Rain as a grind deck. So like eventually your opponent runs out of PGs and the guard restrict actually does something.
I kind of love the design on her where she has like these almost bat-like wings.
Mm-hmm.
Butterfly bat wings with the little devil. Like, oh, you don't got a PG? What a shame. Coming for your ass.
Yeah. I guess like it also just like forces out the Sentinel. Like if you were thinking of using the divine skill. So if your opponent doesn't have like 2 of them, like you will probably have a rear guard that's like 38k with a crit at least, plus whatever triggers you check. So yeah, like this card is weird and I don't know how to feel about it because it just like sometimes doesn't do anything. But also like I think you just have to play it because like those times where it does do something, it will probably win the game.
Okay. So is it like win more or
I don't, it's hard for me to say because like also the situation where your opponent doesn't have like a PG, they were probably going to drop a million triggers from their hand, and that's also a cue for you to just use the divine skill and try to end the game with like a huge rear guard.
Yeah.
So like I read it as win more, but also I think you just have to play it anyways. Because like that situation where if they had enough triggers to like guard both attacks, but this forces them into a different guard pattern.
Yeah, worst case it's a different name, so.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're probably not playing 4 of this, so.
Yeah.
I guess reads
Honestly, like with 54 cards, like you could probably get enough different names going
Oh,
to like
right.
fulfill the condition.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. So
Well-
that's all the high rarity stuff. I don't know that I want to highlight anything else.
There's like a hands reveal, but like here's the thing. It's decent for the Vanguard, and then it does like the hands themselves aren't great still, like and they never gave us
That's a
another one.
promo,
So yeah.
not even in the set.
Oh, I thought it was in the set.
Nope.
Then never mind. Then I don't have
What
anything I want
the-
to highlight.
Megan's the
Who?
front.
All right. Who wins? Who loses?
I could not begin to tell you.
On its face, probably Dragon Empire. 3 Vanguard attacks is a lot.
That one
Yeah.
is. That one seems pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Decent set of support to go with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
like I don't know. I'm like slowly changing my opinion on Chris Rain. I didn't love it when it was revealed, but like I'm trying to figure it out.
Maybe
Godspeed.
we'll get there. I think Stoikea didn't really end up in a great position for the most
Yeah.
part.
They made the mistake of not having a divine skill.
Yeah. I don't know. Like both
Sure.
darks, like I'm just gonna call it Arnold because that's where my brain keeps auto correcting it to, anyways. Like Arnold is interesting. I just don't think like it has the ability to consistently sustain its gameplay loop. Also, it doesn't have great hand sizes despite its gimmick. Like you would think that being able to call things out of soul and guard from the bind zone would
Mhm.
like salvage the fact that you don't have huge hand sizes, but like defensive power is so lacking in D or offensive power in D is so high that I think a lot of decks can just force their way through it anyways.
Yeah.
Especially
probably.
because you're like stuck having to play all the direful dolls.
Yeah. Desireful doll thing seems kind of tragic, at least at face value.
Yeah. So, Dark States, Stoikea, you're not really in a great spot.
Yeah.
But I think it's a pretty solid start for.
Yeah, no, I think
A
this is
new
like a good
era.
fart. I think
A
this
good
is a
fart?
good start. A good start to Divine Z. Like, especially because like the meta that we're coming into for English is going to be depressing with the new stride decks.
Yeah. I
Like
know.
I'm not looking forward to playing against Shiranui for like a month, and then we get the triple drive set, and then every few games you're gonna draw the one of card that hard counters Shiranui, and you will just win.
True.
And then for everybody else, RIP. And it like and of course we're at the beginning of Springfest, so it's like why even bother almost.
Mm-hmm. Will the stride decks be legal for Springfest? At least for us, because it's in March.
Well, we're
So, February 23rd.
is when it's legal. Then yes,
We're getting it on the 2nd. They're not. It
Oh.
will be legal because
It will
it's
be
1
legal.
week, right?
yeah.
Or is
It's
is it 1 week or 2 weeks?
it's 1 week, I think.
Okay, so they should be legal.
Okay.
Oh god. Yeah, no, because actually both of the stride decks have like exactly one card that like hard counters their win con. So for like Shiranui, if you draw the triple drive order, which will not be legal for us,
Yeah.
then like Shiranui can't do anything for a turn, and you might be able to just clap back. And then for Luard, if you have Sanctitude, you can just stop Drag Driver or Drag
Yeah.
Strider. But it's
if you have Sanctitude though. If
yeah.
you don't, good
And if you
fucking luck.
don't, it's like 70k quad
Aces.
drive crit. They've thinned out their deck like crazy. Like it is almost just an instant win if they can hit Drag Strider.
Yep.
So
Well, what do you think of this new set and this new era? Comment below. At Nexus at Night and all the social media places. Patreon.com/Nexus at Night. Help support the show. Get a bonus show every week with 2 or 3 of us, depending how we feeling. And thanks to Darren, Cole, Josh, Jeremy, GR, and Ali, our $10 patrons. How about the rest of us?
On Twitter at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Gs.
Find me at Plasma Eclipse.
Me at Atlas Novak and all the places, or my other podcast, Generation Dan, in those same places. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And have a good night, everyone.